Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the On Second Thought Sports Show on the Mental Conditioning Podcast. We're very, very excited. We want to get right into it. We're getting back into a little bit of a rhythm. As you can see, we still don't have our studio. We still don't have the mental conditioning gym. We did have a major construction issue there that is still working on. But, sometimes you got to roll with the punches as such. And that's what we're doing. We're rolling with it and continue to deliver our shots and getting in the shows. We're getting back into a better rhythm. We got a lot of good stuff planned for just this show and many other shows in the very, very near future. But we are very excited to be here, and I'm ready to get it on. We left some stuff on the table from the previous show, so we got to get right into it. I'm Elliot Allen.
Isaiah.
Aaron.
So I'm ready to go. I mean, we dedicated the whole last show kind of by accident to boxing, and we just still left a lot on the table, and there's still some developing things as we get closer also to the Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez fight. I'm just getting some information on it right as we came on the air. I think I'll cover that also with you guys. It's something that's pretty interesting for anybody who's thinking about going down to the fight. But we left off again, talking about boxing. We left a few things on the table. We got a few other hot things that we just have to get to. We're definitely going to get to our rising stars today and maybe get into just a little bit of basketball. We do have some time left, but the NBA schedule just came out. I didn't really get a chance to look over it like that. I know that the Christmas schedule came out first and the whole NBA schedule came out, so we can kind of get into that probably in the next few shows, but if we can touch a little bit of NBA as well and see what's happening. So let's start off. We talked a little bit about that, but the hot topic of the day is something that I don't really want to get into too much. Well, when I say not get into it, I'm going to talk about it, but not in the sense of, it really being a real contest. The story broke yesterday. I think Isaiah or one of these guys really broke it clean to me that it appears to be official. You guys even can say it. I can't even say it.
Aaron? Go ahead. Yeah, of course. Gervonta Tank Davis, that's what we're talking about, has announced his next fight. I mean, it's official because he posted it, and as well as his opponent. He will be fighting November, I think, 14th in an exhibition against Jake Paul. No.
So, I mean, since you announced it, what are your thoughts? I don't even know what to say. Whatever thought you have on it, I guess.
This is clearly, and I hope so, but it better be Tank's last fight in the ring, because if he's, as a lot of people would say, in the prime of his career, taking a fight against Jake Paul in an exhibition, then he clearly doesn't want to box anymore. Because, there's so many more people he could be fighting. He should run it back with Roach. He should fight Shakur, Haney, Rolly. There's so many more guys he could fight, but instead he chose to fight Jake Paul in an exhibition.
I don't know. Aaron, your thoughts on this?
I just think it's really dumb. I mean, Tank has had a great career so far, and like Isaiah said, he could be doing a lot more.
Yeah.
But, I guess this is just a fight he wanted to take, I guess. Like Isaiah said, I wouldn't be shocked if, he's kind of doing this as his go away for boxing, I guess. Hopefully it's not, because the guy's not old at all. So I still feel like he can do a lot in the sport. But, it is what it is. I don't think it's a smart decision to take a fight. And I just don't think, that's a big risk in my opinion. Not saying that Jake Paul is going to win, but I mean, whether you know how to fight or not, that, weight, height, and, reach also comes into a factor at some point. And that's kind of an absurd, difference between the two.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not going to talk too much about the actual matchup, but I will say that I agree with what Aaron just said about it. Just again, it's just bizarre. The size difference is just something that, boxing-wise is not even a discussion. I refuse to have the conversation about, any type of boxing technicalities between these two. Tank Davis is a seasoned professional. I will say I do have more respect for Jake Paul in that he's not just some dude off the street. He has been working to improve his boxing skills. And he is better than just, again, some dude that just came in off the street and just tried to go into a boxing ring. But he's not a seasoned professional. He's not on these guys' level. And frankly, he should be equally embarrassed if he wants to be. He's getting pissed because he's like, he's gonna sue. He's gonna sue if people start saying, if he hears again anybody says that he's not a legitimate fighter. But again, he's embarrassing himself, and to do something like this, and frankly, even from his standpoint, to fight a smaller guy. I mean, Tank is a very small man, very small guy, and so for you to even fight him, that's frankly, you're playing yourself. You know what I mean? That's just an embarrassment if you're trying to gain some legitimacy to what you're doing, which again, I respect his work ethic. He has been, in the gym, really trying to get better, really honing his skills. So I definitely give him a lot of credit with that. The boys give me a hard time with him, and I don't back down with that. I don't like what's going on with him, but I do give him credit to say that he is working. He's trying to get better at the craft. But again, making a move like this is an embarrassment on his part. For Tank, I kind of feel, I had this discussion earlier today, I kind of feel, bad for him in a certain sense, because what a lot of people don't understand, this kind of reflects for me, even in the mental conditioning movement. This is a mindset thing. This is not physical. This young man at this point, he goes through a lot. And, just fortune and fame, and I think we talked about this in the last show, just being in the public eye constantly is just not for him. He just doesn't want to do that. And so for him to make a decision just to want to stop boxing, I respect that. I think we all have to respect that. As a boxing fan, that's not what we want to do. Isaiah mentioned those names. Of course, those are people that we want to see him fight. But I certainly respect the fact that, because here's the piece that I thought about today, because I was going back and forth with it on social media. And, obviously everyone is pissed about it. Like I said, I'm not happy about it. But here's the thing that people have to realize too. I think that Tank has checked out. He doesn't really want to box anymore. Not that he's afraid of anybody. He's not afraid of the guys, and that's not the point. He just doesn't want to box anymore just because of what it brings to his life. I even think, and we'll talk about this also, in the Roach fight, I even think he could have done better, but he knows, like, whatever. He didn't give his best effort, not to take nothing away from Roach, because he's just in that whatever mode. Now, if he goes in there against Roach, Shakur, Raleigh, who are the other names you made? Haney, and he gets beat, no one's going to say, well, you know what, Tank's kind of checked out. They're just going to say Tank got his behind whooped. So if I was advising him, I would say, young brother, if you don't want to fight no more, stay out of the ring. Because either way, you're going to hurt your legacy. I mean, obviously him doing this is going to hurt his legacy. But if he continues to fight competitively and he doesn't want to do it, he's going to lose to those guys. And that's not to say that those guys are better than him, but he's going to lose because he's going to have to be at his best to beat those particular opponents. You saw that, I think we said this before. And I'll get you guys' opinion on that. What do we think? I think we might have talked about it, but let's go over it again. What do you guys think about the Roach fight? Do you think that was Roach being that good, or Tank just kind of not being as sharp as we normally see him? Yeah.
I said it 10 times already. I'm just gonna say it one more time. It's just kind of just Tank just not being on point as much as Roach being good that fight.
Yeah, I agree.
No, I see it the same way as just Tank not being Tank.
Right.
Plain and simple, just like that.
And so with that being said, and I'm not trying to take nothing away from Roach. He appears to be a good fighter. He got some work to do in terms of being able to prove that. But right now, I'm going to have to say that those guys that you mentioned, Rowley, Shakur, Haney, they're definitely, even Teofimo, they're better than Roach, in my opinion, right now. And so if Tank had trouble handling those guys, I mean, that dude, he's definitely going to have a problem handling, those mentioned guys. So if he doesn't want to fight, as much as I hate to say it, as much as I hate, for it to happen, he should just walk off. And who are we to say he shouldn't walk off and try to get, as much money as he can? I just hate it for the sport. You want people to have a little more integrity for the sport, but who am I to say? You know what I mean? This is his family. This is his life's legacy that he has to make sure that he's taken care of. So I'm torn with that and in between with that. But that's about all I can say about it. To me, there is no fight in terms of these two guys being a competitive matchup to where you're talking about skill sets and strategy. That's ridiculous. But let's see what happens with that. Let's move on to some real boxing. Let's talk about where does that leave everybody else. Where does that leave Devin Haney? Where does that leave, Raleigh? We didn't really get a chance to talk about Shakur Stevenson, who I think, out of his last shoot, I thought he looked very, very good. He had a very good fight. I think that I felt this before. You guys disagreed. I still stand on. I think that Shakur Stevenson is the best 135, 140 fight in the world, bar none, including Tank. When Tank is in there, so that doesn't really change for me. But where would you put Shakur Stevenson? I guess if Tank is out of the mix.
If he's out of the mix?
Yes.
Ooh. Damn. After his last performance, I definitely would have him in the. I mean, I think regardless, I definitely would obviously have him in the top 3. I think for right now, despite his controversial fights, I'm gonna still put Haney at 1. I might have to still do that.
Interesting.
I might have to put Shakur at 2, and then Rolly at 3. Rolly really did impress me his last fight. He's a champion now, so I gotta put him.
I did. I was impressed too.
So I guess that'll be my big 3 for right now.
You got Shakur.
No disrespect to T.O.
You got Shakur. I'm sorry. You said Haney, Shakur, and Rolly.
Yeah.
Interesting. Aaron.
No. Ryan Shakur.
Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, and Shakur. Yeah, Ryan Garcia is just an interesting dude to me because I don't necessarily disagree. Ryan can really fight, but he's another one in that. And I think, honestly, he's very similar to Tank in that just lack of focus for him is the difference between him winning and losing fights. When that dude is really on, he was a monster, that version of him versus Devin Haney, I don't think Devin can beat. I really don't. I don't think he can beat him.
You think he can't beat Ryan Garcia when Ryan Garcia's on it like that? Okay.
No, I don't think so. I think Ryan Garcia coming into the ring in that way he came in, focused, ready to go, determined. Devin Haney, I don't see Devin Haney beating him, period. No matter what the situation. He beats him 9 out of 10 times, in my opinion. So I don't necessarily think Aaron's off base, but mine would be Shakur Stevenson.
At 1?
Yes. Shakur Stevenson to me is the best 135, 140 pound fighter in the world.
Okay.
Easily.
Not bad. Good pick.
Devin.
At 2. Okay.
Boy. I don't like this guy, but he's been looking really good. Just off of his performances, I'm going to have to put Teofimo in there. And I'm not a big Teofimo fan, but he has been looking really good. Raleigh's just... that was a situation where, to me, Ryan Garcia just looked so unfocused that, don't get me wrong, Raleigh's not a bum, but, that would be my top.
Your top 3.
That would be my top 3 for those guys. So that's going to be very, very interesting, going forward. A lot of really good fights, 135, 140, even going a little bit lower. You got my guy, Inoue. You got Shushu. There's a few people in those weight divisions that it's just. I just hope that we can put those fights together.
Do y'all research on Bruce Shushu Carrington?
Yes, Bruce Shushu. Well, so we'll do that. He's. I think he's a little bit past the rising star, but we'll start it off with him as we get to some of our rising stars. We want to talk first about Bruce Shushu Carrington out of Brooklyn, New York. Just a solid performer. Really, really, really good boxing knowledge. Very good power, able to really mix it up, not afraid to get hit. We've seen him multiple times live. A dynamite young man. I've had an opportunity to interview him. A really good guy, and just again, I think his boxing level, his boxing skill, is really, really, really solid, and he's moving up the ranks pretty good. I think that every fight that he takes has been a really good test. Sometimes with rising star fighters, you get a little discouraged. Like my guy, he, to me, turns out to be a complete disaster. The kid Berlanga, he was a rising star, and the guy had something incredible. Whatever it was, 17 straight first-round KOs. Clearly, he was just fighting Uber cab drivers. So you can't be doing that. You have to be fighting people that have a little bit of a pulse and can get out of bed in the morning.
Right.
But I think that they're definitely doing that with Shushu. That each opponent that he has is bringing something to the table, and they're fighting hard. You guys' thoughts on Shushu? You guys seen him quite a bit, so what's your thoughts on him?
Bruce Shushu Carrington, was it like Shoe York?
Shoe
Yes,
York.
sir. I mean, that dude is a monster. I mean, he goes into the ring, does what he does, he fights his fight, and he's a very disciplined fighter. And they like to say he doesn't really have a lot of power, but he will catch you.
Yes.
And he will push you on the mat.
Yes.
I think he's obviously, like you said, past rising star. He's probably one of the top talents in his division, and he's always looking for the top guy. I mean, every fight, some of the interviews I looked up on YouTube for, just from searching his name, it's just him calling somebody out.
Yes,
So
yes.
he's not like who you said, Berlanga, who wants to just fight nobodies and knock him out. He wants to fight the top guys. And that's a guy I respect, and his fights are always really good. He always goes in there he's really good at outboxing his opponent.
Yeah,
very good. His ring IQ is really, really, really well too.
Right. And I again, even like with the kid Berlanga, it's not that he can't fight. He could fight. It's just that I didn't like the way that they brought him up and feeding him the opponents that they fed him. I think if they would have done it a little bit more competitively, as I feel like they're doing with Shushu, he would be better. When he got in there with Canelo, he shot good joints. As a matter of fact, that's one of those times where I say, like, it's not about winning and losing, because he went in there and he fought his ass off, and he actually got credit for that. You know what I mean? He came back and got another good fight after that. He came up a little short. You'll be all right. You'll be back. But that's the thing about it. You have to make sure that you're pushing the young fighters competitively to allow them to get better slowly. So when the opportunity is there, they're ready to go. Aaron, Bruce Shushu Carrington.
Yeah, I mean, I like the way he boxes. He's a very technical boxer, in my opinion. He's pretty technical.
Yeah.
From the way I've seen him box, especially in person, his punches sound like bombs when they hit. Honestly, they sound really impactful. I just like the way he's coming up, and I think he can really take over his division for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Whether he wants to drop or go up, I think he can do. I think he has free range of that as well. I think he can play around with the weight a little bit, and he'll breeze through the division.
I agree. Probably the toughest, stiffest challenge for him is going to be Inoue. The monster out there, very good fighter, but Shushu definitely has abilities to be able to work around that, and those are the fights that we definitely want to see him as a rising star get the opportunity to do that and continue to build his brand and continue to build him up. And so let's go to another level. Now we're going to start really, really looking at the really, really rising stars. We got young dynamite David Lopez, another hard-hitting. I mean, this kid right here, hard-hitting, lightning fast, very good counter-punching ability. We've seen him quite a bit. Look him up. His fights are out there on YouTube. Catch him now. I mean, these guys... some of this young talent out here is just so impressive with their ability to be able to do certain things in the ring. Although they're young, the rawness of it is not where you kind of. He's very, very obviously they need seasoning. I'm not trying to say that they're ready to go as if they had 30 fights, but for their young career, for them being rising stars again, Dynamite. David Lopez is just a tremendous powerhouse. Sees his shots, gets in there, and nails them. We've seen him a few times on YouTube. Again, check him out, Isaiah.
Oh no, he's a really good fighter. I mean, he really knows how to use his reach in the couple of fights that I've seen him.
Yeah.
Just on YouTube. I haven't really seen him in person. I don't really even know where he's fighting at. Not off the top of my head, but I've seen his YouTube videos. He packs a lot of power. He's really quick for his size too. Not that he's not big, but he's very fast. A lot of power behind his punches too. I think both times that I've seen him, he ended his fight in a knockout. So he's clearly good, very, very good. I think he's a rising star. I think he will be a problem if he keeps on this trajectory and this path that he keeps going on.
Definitely think he will, Aaron.
For the fights that I watch, he looks to me he's going to be a problem because of his height and his reach, in my opinion. So I feel like he could make some noise. I just feel like if they just need to play their cards right, and if he keeps working hard, I think he can really get something done.
Yes, and I know that they are working really hard on making sure that he is going the right path and getting the right fights. And but sometimes for these young fighters, I know It can be a little frustrating. You want to be able to rise up, but I encourage them as these rising stars to take your time and make sure that you are mentally getting yourself prepared, because when the time comes, believe me, it's going to come fast. It's going to come, with a lot of success. If you liken that to what we're seeing with Tank Davis, this is what I'm talking about. You got to be prepared for that moment where Tank is on top of the world. I mean, at some point, people, you can make a case. I'm not saying that he is, but some people you can make a case and certainly say he's one of the top fighters in the world. You can make that case right now. He's one of the top fighters in the world, top 10 in the world. I don't think many people would disagree with that. He's in the top 10. But the pressure of that, he has to be prepared, and you can lose that way. Ryan Garcia, we talked about him. Another guy, Aaron has brought his name up, and that was a very good observation. Ryan Garcia is very talented. He's a very talented fighter, can punch hard, excellent speed. He's been boxing a long time. If you hear him talk about his story, he ain't no come to the game lately, 18. Ryan Garcia been boxing a long time. So he knows what the hell he's doing in there. But sometimes, and he's also well documented talking about the challenges mentally of just being in this sport and being able to go from a rising star, come into that skill-wise and mentally. So those two guys, I think, all of these rising stars, they have to really watch out for that. I know, again, David Lopez, again, excellent point, excellent reach. He's got that wiry body, but very good skill sets. These last two rising stars in the boxing world really are just so impressive to me, and they're kind of like on the same plane with me, because I've been watching boxing a long time, man. And one thing about both of these guys, I'll kind of mention them both at the same time. They're very impressive in terms of their just boxing IQ and poise. Usually when you see young fighters, even if you go back, the beautiful thing about YouTube is that you can watch fighters' careers that are already finished and go back and watch them early in their careers. So a guy like Floyd Mayweather, a guy like Pernell Whitaker, a guy like Evander Holyfield or Mike Tyson, YouTube has given us the ability to go back and watch their very first fight as a pro. And you'll see that it's very different, in that they're just herky-jerky moving a lot. And the older that they get, the more they just smooth with it. So I don't have to move so much. I move a little bit, pop, I'm going to get my shots in. But these two young guys, young Joseph Brown and young Ethan Smith, both of these guys are young in their careers. They got like 4 and 5 fights each. And I tell you what, their poise is something that is very, very impressive. When they come out and that bell rings, they're taking their time. You can see that they really know what they're doing. They really are taking their time to be able to land their shots. They know boxing at a very, very early age. Joseph Brown, if you haven't gotten a chance, look him up, check him out. There's a nice documentary actually of him and his family and his rise, to where they're at right now. And he's been boxing. He's been in martial arts, MMA. He started off, his dad did that as well. So he just has a fight mindset. And he's just so calm in the ring, and he just really knows what he's doing. That's the most impressive thing. When I saw him, I was just like, man. And then, you get a chance to hear him speak. He has the same thing, the same demeanor out of the ring, to where he's just very poised about it. He's a young 18-year-old kid, but his poise not only transcends outside of the ring, but inside the ring. That's really a place of so much unrest and uncalm. But the fighters that can be the most calm, especially at 18 years of age, to me, is something really special to watch. So when I saw him the first time, it really caught my eye, because he just took his time, set up his knockout, and he got it. And even when he got the knockdown, he wasn't wild. He took his time and was able to finish. Ethan Smith, the same thing. Isaiah.
Talk about Joseph Brown. I think he's fighting out of Mayweather Productions.
Yes, fighting out of Mayweather Promotions. Money Team.
Money Team, yeah. He's a really, really, really well-seasoned boxer. He can do pretty much whatever his corner will tell him to do in the ring, He knows how to pick up the pace. He knows how to slow it down. He knows how to not let that jump get him when he sees his opponents hurt or rocked. He knows how to play it calm, play it patient. He has a lot of power behind his punches, and his punches are also incredibly accurate. He knows when to go high, when to go low to the body. There might be around where he has to stay, close to the body. He can do that, and he knows how to create for himself. He knows how to get his punches in. So Joseph Brown, another phenomenal fighter, right there next to David Lopez.
Yes.
Ethan Smith, I haven't seen too much on him, but the one fight that I have seen, and just looking at his Instagram, the kid's really really good upcoming prospect in boxing. He definitely also needs to be studied and watched for people that he's going to fight in the future, and hopefully, he'll get the chance to raise that championship belt. I have no doubt that all three of these guys have the potential to do such great things in this sport.
Yes. Aaron, you got anything on those two?
I just have to say that, like, on the aspect like David Lopez being signed to Mayweather Promotions.
No, Joseph Brown.
Joseph Brown.
Joseph Brown. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to just say that on Joseph Brown being like signed to Mayweather Promotions or Productions.
Money Team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So along with like his skill in the sport, I feel like him being signed to this promotion, gives him a lot of opportunity as well.
Of course.
So I feel that if he just keeps up the work, keep training hard, and not take it too fast, just come slowly, make your way up to the top.
Yes.
I feel like the opportunity is just there for him, and the sky's the limit for him and
Ethan Smith.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree, and that's again, something that I'd like to cover when we're talking about rising stars. Mm-hmm. And again, Joseph Brown, like I said, check him out, man. He, we have a little bit more information because we went back and we watched his documentary. And again, I encourage everybody to watch that. It's a very powerful piece, because he has a great family background. And that's what kind of keeps him grounded. So even though, again, at some point by Aaron, that's not an easy thing to be an 18-year-old kid. I think he signed that deal with Money Team when he was 16. So that's not even this. He's been with them for a little while already, and that's not an easy thing. That's a big deal. But to still be able to take your time and continue to grow his talent. But I think that he's grounded by his family, and that's a part that's really, really, really important. And his dad talks about the workout regimen that he had since he was 7 or 8 years old. The kid went from I think they said it takes to become a black belt. I forget what it's 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 years. He did it in like 18 months, 12 months. It was incredible. So that's just great dedication, great discipline to the sport, and really, really, that will pay big dividends as long as he can again take those steps, slowly. And I think the lead on this would be Shoo Shoo. I had an opportunity to meet with Shoo Shoo and his dad. And we talked about that. And his dad also, again, good, solid family, very good family structure. That whole Carrington family is very close. And, just that structure I saw with interviewing them, the family, and talking to them, I felt that, he had a good understanding of this is gonna be tough. Yeah, this was before, at that time, he wasn't even signed to Top Rank and Bob Arum. He had told me at that point that we were going to go and see them, but they eventually signed with him. But I was telling it's going to get crazy after that. But I feel as though they're doing a very good job of that. That's part of being a rising star in sports, not just boxing, but in all the sports, to be able to maintain your craft and continue to get better. Because the pressures of being that rising star sometimes is the things that makes your star drown. And let's talk a little bit about again, shout out to all of those guys. We're going to get as many as we can, some of these rising stars on, but we don't want to give you guys too many. We want you guys to actually check these people out and support these young fighters out there, because they are doing very, very good work. And they're really, really masters at a young age of their craft as they begin to continue to grow. Let's talk a little bit about some of the rising stars in the sport of basketball. And it's kind of the same discussion in that for basketball even more so. I think it's very difficult. I've never seen, again, watching basketball a long time, and I've never seen the push for young stars, for them pushing to have young stars. I've certainly never seen, they've never really had this thing of sons becoming basketball players. It used to be a lot of people were like, I don't want my kid playing basketball if they was a pro. Shaq actually is old school in that Sharif wants to play, but Shaq is like, yeah, I'm good with that. Right. I don't really want you playing no basketball. I play ball. You shouldn't be playing ball. That used to be how it kind of was. But now it's kind of a push to where it's very common for these young stars to be playing basketball. And they are actually pretty talented, but I feel for them because there's a little bit of pressure, but they do have some great talent out there. I know Isaiah is really taking the lead on that one, and that he's very excited about, Aaron too. Some of these young stars that are coming up One of Isaiah's favorite young players out there is
Cayenne Anthony.
That's his guy. We actually got a chance to go see him in one of his last high school games out in New Jersey. It was cool to actually get a chance to watch him. And you could talk a little bit about what you saw that day.
It was at the American Dream Mall.
Yes.
They had a game. I don't remember who they were playing, but Cayenne's a very, very talented player. He can do pretty much almost everything on the court. He can, he's drive. He can shoot. He can get, he can shot create. He will get his teammates, his buckets. Their buckets if he needs them too. He's just a really talented player. And with the narrative of NBA players, not just NBA players, NBA Hall of Famers kids playing basketball, they have such a high or such a big shoe to fill, and it's not really often that you get to see that son be like, yo, like he might be better than his dad. There's a couple players like that. Don't get me wrong, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, just to name a few. They're obviously better than their fathers were, but some of these kids, their fathers are legends in the sport. Yes. Obviously, Del Curry wasn't a legend.
He's good. He's a good player.
He was a great player. Michael Thompson wasn't
good.
a legend. He's good. But, guys like Cayenne, whose dad is Carmelo Anthony, who's a Hall of Famer, a top NBA, top 75 player.
All time.
All time. Yeah. That's really hard to compete.
Future Hall of Famer in a few weeks.
Future Hall of Fame in a few weeks.
We will be there.
I was going to say the same thing. We will be there for that. Be there. So, shout out to Melo. But, Cayenne definitely can. I won't say, I don't know yet if he can exceed his dad, but he definitely can play on that level where he's like, all right, yo, this dude, his father may be Melo, but don't forget, his name is Cayenne, so definitely we'll be looking out for him in college. I feel like he's going to be perfectly fine in college. I hope for him and all these guys that we mentioned that, they do take 4 years of college and not just do the 1 year and hop straight into the NBA. If they do decide to do that, so be it. I just want, all these players to get as much training as they can before they enter the big leagues. Especially, guys like that where their dads, I'm sure, have been telling them all about, how hard it is to transition from college to basketball.
Great points. Aaron, you want to talk a little bit about Cayenne?
I think Isaiah said everything.
Yeah, that's Isaiah's guy. Let me back it up a little bit and start up here, and we'll come back. Let's kind of like how we started off with Shushu, and let me back up and talk about he's also, I think, jumped out of the rising star category just a bit.
Cayenne?
No, and that's going to be Cooper Flagg.
Oh, Cooper Flagg.
And start there, and we'll come back and start going to our true rising stars because Cooper Flagg is going to the NBA this year.
Right.
But he is, like I said, he's not quite right. I wouldn't say he's quite a rising star at this point, but we don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
Very similar to again Shushu. Shushu's not a rising star, but we still don't know the full potential. Obviously, he hasn't reached what we think that he can do. So let's talk a little about Cooper Flagg. I think that's a good way to start because then you can kind of look at, as we talk about the true rising stars, he's kind of the lead for them, and they have to kind of follow somewhat of what he's doing. Aaron, you can start it off and talk a little bit about Cooper Flagg being at Duke. I think they came up a little bit short, which was a little surprising. Everybody thought that they would win the title. But here, your thoughts on him going into the NBA?
To me, he's just kind of any college player coming out of the, college setting. Going into the NBA, it's obviously much different. Those are just literally the top 1% of players in the world. All rolled into one league. So it's not like every team he's gonna run into, it's gonna be tough. It's not like college when you're versus an underranked team who hasn't won a game in like 6 years, But I think honestly, he might come out the gates a little slow. I don't think he's gonna, come out like fast, dropping these 30 balls every game. I think ever since people saw the footage of him, kind of doing his thing at the Team USA camp, everybody's kind of just that took his hype from high to a whole nother level.
Yes.
So he does have a lot of pressure, but I don't think he'll fold under it. But I do think he has the potential, obviously, to become a superstar. I just don't see it happening immediately.
Excellent point. I would say, Aaron, again, great point in saying that is when he did his thing out at that camp, and me included, I was kind of like, yo, this dude appears to be the truth. Because he was playing against the pros, and they was just like, yo, this dude is doing it out here. I do think that I like Cooper Flagg. I do think that he's kind of like the young boxers that we talked about. He's seasoned. He's young, but he does have a game to where he's got a pretty good, excellent basketball IQ for a young guy. I do think Aaron has a lot of valid points, and I think one of the things that's going to be a little bit of a challenge for him, and this is kind of dependent on what the situation is with Dallas and the injuries. That's going to be tough because it's not like he's going into a team that, all right, here, Cooper, you just do what the hell you want. It's going to be kind of tough because he's got some guys around him that he's going to have to fit in, and he ain't going to tell Kyrie Irving what to do or AD what to do. So they got a good lineup of guys, but we don't know what's going to happen with those guys with injury. Certainly, we do know there's no Kyrie Irving, so that's a loss. But I think he's going to be fine. I think he's got a shot to, frankly, be. He's number one draft pick. I think he got a good shot to be the rookie of the year. I don't think he's going to have a disappointing rookie year, but he's got the basketball body. He's got an NBA body already. So I'm really curious, and I think he's going to do well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Cooper Flag is one of the most hyped up prospects that we've seen probably since Zion, or maybe even take it back since LeBron James. Yeah. This kid has a lot of aura behind him going into the league, doing Team USA trials. I think he was still in high school when he was in the Team USA practices. Going into Duke, dominating Duke. He played really well, though he did come up short. He played really well in Duke, and I think everybody wants to find some way. You know how media is. Everybody finds some way to be like, oh, this kid's not that good. So they looked at his summer league stats and was like, oh no, he can't do it. But I'm not worried about him at all because
did he play a lot?
He played 2 games, and then both those games he didn't really shoot the best. I think he had like 130-point game, but he shot like 9 for like 20 something.
Okay.
So he didn't shoot that well. Right. But I'm not worried about guys like that. There's only summer league when there's a whole 82 game season coming up. God forbid, and I may not even say that because we all know what happened to Tatum last time we said that. He's going to be fine. Like you said, it's going to be a little bit hard, a little bit challenging for him at first because he's always been that give me the ball guy. He's not going to do that because, he has Kyrie whenever he comes back from injury. I don't know if they say he might be out the whole season. But he has AD, Anthony Davis, and it's going to be hard when 2 guys who play close to the same position, almost similar play styles, try to, get the ball. But I think he's going to be perfectly fine. I think he's going to have a great rookie season. He is obviously my front runner to win Rookie of the Year.
I agree. So with that, we'll look at a few more of the rising young stars going from high school basketball to college basketball. So another one of the rising stars, and this one is going to be double trouble, is the Boozer twins. I know that they've been making a lot of noise. I know both of you guys talked about them quite a bit, and their prowess. And again, it's double trouble. Tell me a little bit about what you think about them and their where are they going?
Duke.
They're going to be going to Duke. Somebody's doing a hell of a job. When they lose one, they get back. What kind of deal is that? They lose one and they get back 2. So talk a little bit about the Boozer twins.
McCain got Cooper Flag. They lost Cooper Flag and they got the Boozer twins.
Right. Zion. And
RJ Barrett. They got everybody over there. I mean, the Boozer twins, phenomenal players. They're twins. But, Caden's point guard. Cam is the power forward. Whenever they do like the draft rankings or their stock, they always have Cam way more edged out than Caden. But that's not to say Caden's a bad player.
They do have one higher than the other.
Way higher.
Which one? The power forward.
Power forward.
Is that right?
So I will be excited to see them play in a college level. They've always been like that one team in high school where it's like, we gotta go up against the Boozers. Right. Like, damn. I will be curious to see how that will compare to the college level, especially with their connection. With brothers, that's a whole different connection. With me and my brother on the same team for bowling. So it's just a different type of connection. So we'll see how that gets to play out. I'm sure Caden will start, but I've seen a couple people saying he might not. Cam most likely definitely will start. But we'll just see how the season plays out for them in Duke.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I mean, Duke always has a lot of pressure, not just a little bit, a lot of pressure to win the title. And I think that they do. Duke has some returning players. I know Cooper Flag obviously left, but I think they have some returning players from last year that the pressure is going to be on them once again to return. And again, this is why I do think it's exciting. I think it's good for these young guys to have this type of talent crop that's going into college basketball. I think it should bring back some more excitement about who actually wins. I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful, but it just kind of feels like to me the last 10 years kind of like, hey, who cares?
Right.
You know what I mean? Who cares? Who won the NCAA? But I feel like, this would be returning to the old days, the glory days, if you would, of, Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing, and, Akeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler. All of those guys were competing at the same time, James Worthy, in college, and people really were, excited about, that atmosphere. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. And actually women's basketball has done that. As we jump all over the place a little bit with some of our rising stars, I think that's one of the things, and I think that you're seeing that with the WNBA, and that Paige Beckers is definitely
a rising star.
She's definitely a rising star. Again, not high school to college, but she's even another further level up. But she's definitely still on that level of being a rising star. She had an unbelievable game at the time of this recording. She had 44 points last night, and it was still an unbelievable, a terrible loss, a last-second bucket by LA. But you know what? She is just really such a seasoned young player. And again, I think she played 5 years because she did get injured. But that's what you really want to see. That's where the college game is such a great conduit, when they can build it up and people have excitement about it, because you're excited to see. Or I want to see Paige when she gets to the pros.
Right.
We got Juju Watkins, who
speedy recovery.
We wish her a speedy recovery. I think she should be ready to go maybe for this next season. I believe she should be a senior. So we look forward to that, and her. She's definitely 100% a rising star. Just a tremendous player. I want to chime a little bit on Paige and Juju and what you're seeing with them.
Yeah, I mean, Paige is out in the WNBA doing her thing, I was kind of expected because obviously, like you said, she played 5 years in college, and that's really a benefactor to, if you really start off in the league, not to say if you play the 1 year like how these guys are doing now, I just think that personally you aren't going to start off as hot as you think you might.
Yeah.
But I feel like with, even with the 5 years and how, the jump from being a collegiate athlete to an NBA or WNBA player is obviously tremendously different.
Yeah.
I still feel like the 5 years will kind of just have you, because honestly, if you play if you play an extra year as well, most of the new talent coming into the league, into the WNBA or NBA, you have already beat and faced for at least 2 years maybe. Mm-hmm. So that's also a factor, and it's just experience. It's just another thing as well, because these guys and girls are really young.
Yeah,
we tend to forget that, but they are literally coming out of college.
Yeah,
and these 1 year college students are fresh out of high school practically, and they're coming to play with 30-year-old,
grown men
and women.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a benefactor, and I feel like Paige really did play her cards right with the 5th year.
Yes.
And Juju, I hope she takes her time, especially coming off to this injury.
Right.
And if she feels like she needs a 5th year like Paige, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Honestly,
Definitely.
I think you should really just take your time, and whenever you feel like you're ready. Personally, I feel like that's when you should just really, jump on it. It's no time to really waste. But I think it's kind of hard to really determine if you're ready or not.
It is
that you're 1 year into college.
I agree, and that's a good point, and it's something that's so important. It goes back to even just talking about rising stars in general, and then Paige is to me right now the poster child for that, and that. I mean, she really... I've always been a big Paige fan when she was in college. I love her game. But again, there's not... I mean, men or women, WNBA or NBA, I think she's one of the best rookies that I've seen in a long time in terms of just her dominance in college and coming right in and just being like, yo, there's no difference.
Right.
Like, I'm doing the same thing. You know what I mean? I'm dominating this game, not just with just the scoring, but just her poise, her leadership. That's special, and I think that it is because she's staying in college. Even guys like it's hard because even guys like who's also one of my favorite basketball players in the NBA, but frankly, he's never panned out, and that's Zion. And I think that part of it for me is that Zion went to school for 1 year. So I do feel as though just that seasoning of staying in school, chasing the championship, I think it does. I really think it makes a huge difference. But of course, in Zion's case, if you look at Zion, the guy's injury prone. So what if he stayed in college and he got hurt like that in college? That might have affected just his ability to even get to the league. So it's really a tough, situation. But at the same time, I truly believe that guys and girls are just better, you know what I mean, when you stay and get seasoned properly. I think you look at some of the other sports like baseball, baseball don't have that. You can't just be going, baseball's got the minor leagues. You need to go down there and they watch you like, yo, this guy's not good enough. He's going to be good. They don't just let you go to the big leagues. And so when them guys come out to the big leagues, of course, there's always going to be rookie mistakes and things of that nature, but you're ready. The NBA is losing, I think, a lot of talent because they're just coming out, I just think, a little bit, too soon. It's doable, but the truth of the matter is, like Aaron said, it's a rarity. Like, you have to be like almost once in a lifetime type of player that really can come out of out of 1 year of college and just do dominance like Paige is doing right now. So I think it also helps the game because you start to build, like, already when Paige is coming in, it's already like she got little rivalries already, you know what I mean, where her and Caitlin battled it out a little bit in college, and even with
Kelsey. She had one with Kelsey.
They go at it a little bit. What's the girl? What's the Angel and Caitlin. That started in college, and so that's kind of what you need to build those rivalries. You want to be like, yo, Duke won the championship. That's big. So when you only have these guys staying in there, it does hurt, in my opinion, their rising star status a little bit. And again, it hurts the league. I am a big proponent. I mean, Tim Duncan is one of the great power forwards of all time. And Tim Duncan was a guy that come into the league with tremendous season on him because he just took his time. Right. And as I said, it's that way in all sports. Boxing is the same way. We talk about the rising stars there. Those are guys that are coming up nice and slow, excellent opponents. That's something that, I really would like to make sure that, there's nothing you can really do about it because I understand, I guess, the lure of it. But maybe one of the things, Isaiah could talk a little bit about that, maybe one of the issues is because the WNBA, obviously there's some, very ill feelings right now. The WNBA, they're not happy with their salaries. So obviously they're not making as much, so the pressure is not there monetarily for them to jump to the WNBA. So maybe that's why they do stay in college as opposed to, an NBA kid. If you're good, Cooper Flagg, whatever he's getting, at least $4 or $5 million as a rookie. Do you think that that's a factor?
I think that could be a factor. Obviously, because no matter who it is, Caitlin Clark's been in the WNBA not too long. So is Andrew Reese, but they've voiced their complaints about it already. So it's clearly something that they all want to see change, and I think that it will happen sooner than later because not if you're talking about rising stars for me is not only as players but as and also for industry as well. To take a word out of WWE's playbook, the WNBA has the 4 horsewomen right now. They have Paige Beckers, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Juju is soon to come. Those 4
That's big. Is
going to take the WNBA from where it was here.
I totally agree.
Straight up here.
I agree.
Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, when they came into the league, they brought it to here.
I agree.
Paige Beckers, when she came into the league, now it's up here. Now when those 4 enter the league. So when Juju's the last one to enter the league, it's just going to keep getting higher.
I do think that's an excellent point. I do think, and Aaron, you can chime in on what you think. I do think that it also, though, it's important that those teams have got to do well. So, you know what I mean? Like I said, we can't have them coming in and because I know seemingly it appears that, Angel's team is just not playing well. They have to get better because we need to see those rivalries that we saw in college formulated in the pros. So we need to see, Indiana Fever and Chicago going at it. They go at it, but it's like at West State, both teams are not even in the playoffs. Or who cares? You know what I mean? So we need to see them go at it with something on the line. That's the next piece, I think, for the WNBA, and I think that's where to me the money piece. If we talk a little bit about that, I think that's where the money will start to come in with the competitiveness of the league and just people tuning in to be like, yo, they playing for the championship or they playing to go to the finals. Aaron, what do you think about that competitiveness of the WNBA as opposed to the NBA and the superstars?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of inevitable for them right now because they're number high draft picks in general. So they're obviously bound to get drafted on a not so good team unless some team just pulls something out of their pants and somehow pull off a number 1 pick, number 2, something like that. But I feel like that could be a factor as well. Both teams being in the WNBA finals with somebody big. Both 2 big names in the finals just going at it. Going down. Do they play till 3? Is it a best of 3 in the WNBA?
I think they might have made it 7 this year.
I think they definitely did it for the finals.
For the finals, I think it was 4 out of 7. I think they did.
Well, whatever it is, coming down to the last game, that's like a movie. That's something that a lot of people would tune into and it would just go completely viral, especially if it's not like a Phoenix Sun Dallas Mavericks type of elimination game, where the team is just down 52 points or something.
Right. You don't want nothing like that. You want those rivalries because the college game, when those girls are going at it in college, when Caitlin and Angel, they got excellent ratings for those games.
Some of their games probably did better than NBA.
Yes, they did better than the WNBA games. They because they were in the finals, and so that's what I think that is the last step for the WNBA. I agree, that was an excellent point about those are the big 4 sweet secret sources for the WNBA. Those 4 girls, but of course they have to be healthy.
Right.
And of course they have to elevate their teams. I think you could see it coming with Dallas. Paige has just got that thing with her where she's just, she knows how to win. She's clearly just going to need a few more pieces with her.
I think right now they're in a grace period where all people want to see right now is just see Caitlin Clark play, Angel Reese play, Paige Beckers play. But eventually it's going to be like, all right, I'm not going to go because they're just going to lose.
Yes, I agree. That's what's going to eventually happen.
Right.
And so that's why it is important that those teams have to try to improve themselves sooner than later. Right. As Aaron said, that's the luck of the draw. That's the way that the league is made. And the talent is it's not quite like the NBA where the talent is a huge drop-off within the teams. So it takes a while, I think, for these teams to get better, but they got to figure that out. The league's got to figure that out, and they have to play better. And that's where they're going to get their money because they'll have those rivalries and people will really be looking forward to that. Like I said, we should get, like you said, they should get the young girl, Juju Watkins, in the mix. She's a dynamite player, exciting player. We'll bring the fans out to come up to watch. I think she'll be a great marketing tool for the league with her game. So another rising star that will be very, very exciting for us to be able to see in the very near future. So I'm excited about the college basketball and the for the men. And I'm excited about, the prospects of guys like Cooper Flagg coming into the league to really see what he can do going forward. And I'm excited, believe it or not, also for the WNBA to see those girls get better. Like I said, Paige Beckers really got me excited about, what she can do, going forward. So it's an exciting time. We got a lot of excellent rising stars. We'll close it out with that. We got some NBA stuff that we want to get to, but I want to have enough time to really dig into it. We got a lot of information coming up. We got the Hall of Fame coming up. We will be down there to see Melo go in and all of those different people go in. So we're really excited about that. I saw they're starting to put up who's actually presenting them, who presents them to the Hall of Fame. You pick who you want. And they got some really good people that's presenting people. I think Patrick Ewing's going to be there for Dwight Howard. So I'm excited to be able to see that. My very first time actually seeing an induction ceremony live and being in the building. So Mental Conditioning Sports will be there. we're very excited to be able to see that. We've been to the Basketball Hall of Fame a few times, but we've never been in this capacity to check out the festivities in this way. So I'm excited about that. Any words on the Hall of Fame which you're looking forward to?
Carmelo Anthony.
No question about it. Aaron, anything specific you're looking forward to in the induction ceremony at the Hall of Fame?
No, just gonna enjoy it. You know,
Should be a good weekend, and we'll definitely be out there with you guys. So with that, we're gonna close it for Mental Conditioning Sports.
Like and subscribe.